Hello and welcome back to r/EntitledParents. And if you're new here, I hope you enjoy.
You're a capable young man, so I can grab whatever I want from your shopping cart. Details. I'm 17 years old and live in the UK. This happened around December of last year, and it happened in Lidl to be exact. Now this is going to be a very long read, so be prepared. Entitled mother and entitled kid feature in this story. My mum asked me to go grocery shopping because she was quite busy with something and I agreed to go, so I went to Lidl. I spent around 10 minutes looking for things on the shopping list. Eventually, I decided to get a treat for myself because why not? And so I got some Fincare chocolate. Note, this chocolate wasn't sold at the till in this location. I finally finished finding everything and made my way to the till. I was standing in line while using my phone, just minding my own business until this overly loud parent with her very hyperactive kid, who looked around 8, came behind me in the line. Entitled mother, you wouldn't mind me letting us go in front of you, would you? I looked down on her card, which seemed to be a lot more full than mine, and I decided, I'm not in a rush, so why not? So I replied sure, and subtly smiled. She thanked me and went on to go in front of me. My impression of this woman seemed normal, until this happened. The entitled kid said, as he was pointing to my cart, Mum, look, it's that chocolate that you promised to buy next time we went shopping. Entitled mother, oh yes, darling, I just remembered. The entitled mother looked up to me and said, may I grab the chocolate bar? The little one's been eager to get it. Now, this chocolate is somewhat far from the tills in this location, and as mentioned earlier, it isn't sold at the tills either, so getting a new chocolate bar for myself would have been a chore. I replied, I'm sorry, I don't think I can give you the chocolate, it's quite far from the tills. Her smile quickly turned into a death stare, and she said in a loud voice, right, I don't care how far the chocolate is from here. Now, someone like you is more than capable of getting a new bar, so stop making George cross. I replied, I don't care how capable I am. I'm not going anywhere, and this chocolate is staying in my cart. Now, there was a lot going through my head at this point, but I remember how the entitled kid was reaching inside my cart, trying to grab the chocolate, so I quickly grabbed it myself and held it in my hand. Entitled kid, Mum, the guy got the chocolate. Entitled mother, right, I've had enough. The entitled mother reached to my hand to grab the chocolate, but I moved in time and decided to go directly to the cashier and ask him to call the manager. Now, the cashier seemed to have witnessed everything, and so he informed the manager about what happened. No more than 2 minutes of me awkwardly standing, and then the manager arrives. She walks up to the entitled mother and quietly asks her to leave, and then the entitled mother kept trying to incriminate me somehow, until she finally paid for her groceries and left. Me, the cashier, and the manager all had a laugh about it after she left. Now that I think about it, that scene wasn't worth a chocolate bar. But, oh well. Dr. Seuss's How the Aunt Stole Christmas Dinner. I'm going to write a little different this time, and have every sentence in this post be in a rhyme. So if you look at this and your answer is no, there's a TLDR at the page below. My dad and our family liked meat a lot, but my aunt, who shall be called Entitled Aunt here, did not. Entitled Aunt was a vegan and a plant lover see. All animal-based products were pure tragedy. At no other point did she make herself clear than on Christmas Eve on the 2005th year. Each Christmas Eve, my dad threw a party, our relatives ranging from bitter to hearty. He always loved meat, whether pork, beef or jerky, and always took pride in his Christmas turkey. At the time, I was a small boy, admiring my cousin's new Hot Wheels toy. We were watching Rudolph when all of a sudden, I heard a loud scream that could curdle one's blood in. We rushed to the kitchen and there was my dad, yelling at entitled aunt, furiously mad. Due to bad memory, the quotes aren't exact, but I fully remember the tone and the tact. My dad shouted, "What's the balderdash? Why'd you put my turkey inside the trash? I threw animal cruelty away. Why must you do this before Christmas Day?" Dad barked, "I made a salad, you shrew. Just 'cause you're vegan doesn't mean we have to." Entitled aunt shouted, "You should be ashamed. Don't you know how these turkeys were maimed?" Dad yelled, "I don't give a darn what you eat. You keep your plants and I'll keep my meat. If you don't like it, get out of my house." Entitled aunt grabbed her kids, who were quiet as a mouse. She then whispered in her huffy, puffy stroll, "Don't worry kids, meat eaters get coal." I started crying because of the yelling, but Grandma soothed me in her voice so compelling. We ended up ordering pizza that night. Other than the turkey, things turned out alright. Entitled aunt still came every Christmas since then, but kept her mouth shut about being vegan. I think she especially became less of a brat when animal control took her vegan cat. She didn't stop us from having our Christmas feast, and he himself, her son, carved the roast beast. Entitled aunt throws away Christmas turkey, and my father gets annoyed. Let them eat cake. Long ago, way back in the before time, I worked for one of those bulk warehouse club stores. My trade was simple. I was a wrangler of the Silver Buffalo, and dutifully retrieved the old ghetto strollers I did. The job in and of itself wasn't the worst I'd ever had. I got plenty of exercise, got to be outside, and generally didn't have to interact with the members. Calling them customers was taboo, but as I said, I rarely interacted with them, for the most part. The thing about this job is that the company I worked for had a reputation for being cheap. Thusly, more often than not, I was out on my own at the parking lot. Big whoop, you might say. You gathered carts. You should see how hard my job is. Yeah, well, hush up, because this is my story, you butt munch. I digress. The reason that being alone sucked is that this store didn't have just one kind of cart. Heck, they didn't have just two kinds of carts. You had your classic garden variety cart, the kiddie cart with the plastic facade to make it resemble a car. We had the electric scooters, which weren't supposed to leave the store, but did so with alarming frequency. And finally, the bulky, hard to control flatbeds. On top of that, whenever someone needed help loading their haul into their minivans, I was the guy they called. You know, because the greeters, cashiers, and managers were all busy. As you might expect, one man cannot be in multiple places at once, and as a result, on some of our busier days, it became incredibly difficult to keep enough carts in the vestibule. Our story begins on one of these days. So there I was, chugging along like a good worker drone, struggling to keep up with the sheer volume of people coming in to buy cheap bulk goods. Sure enough, I get a call on the radio. Manager: "OP, we need you to help some members load their purchases." I'd love to, but I'm barely able to keep up out here as is." Manager: "Just do it. You can afford to stop gathering carts for 2 minutes." I didn't want to push my luck, so I complied. After spending 20 minutes loading people's purchases, because when one person needs it, suddenly they all need it, I came back to find my vestibule a near ghost town, save for a single line of carts that was half gone, and the Karen. I won't waste time describing this specimen. She was the prototype. You know what she looks like. There she stood, menacing, tapping her foot with such speed that could make any metal drummer green with envy. You could collect the contempt in her gaze in a jar. Karen. Where are the big flat ones? I blanked for a moment. I'm sorry? Mexicans. For the record, I'm very much white. Karen. Where are the flat ones? Me. Oh, you mean the flatbeds? I'm sorry, I was just helping some other members load their merchandise, and I haven't had a chance to... Oh my god, I didn't care about your excuses. You have one job. A trained monkey could do it. I just wanted this lady out of my face, so I didn't fight it. Me. Sorry ma'am, I'll go grab one from the parking lot for you. You'd better. So I go back out to the lot, and I find a whole line of flatbeds, sticking out of a corral, blocking several parking spaces. I push them all into the vestibule, where she waits, huffing about how I'm wasting her valuable time. I separate one from the rest and bring it to her. Me. I'm terribly sorry for the wait, ma'am. She leers at me with utter malice. Humph. Unbelievable. And with that, she dismisses herself into the store, where she'll become someone else's problem. I shake my head and return to doing what I'm paid to do. However, about 15 minutes later, I'm returning a line of carts when I see her pushing her flatbed to her Miata and jawing about stupid people. Most certainly referring to me, on her cell phone. You know what she had bought? What she had insisted on having a flatbed for? A flatbed for? A cake. This wasn't even like a big cake. It was one of the small circular ones. Anyways, I witness as she continues to yammer on about how I nearly ruined, I tell you, her precious baby's birthday party. When the most glorious thing happened. Still clutching her phone, with those scoop claws of hers, she attempts to pick up the cake with one hand. The plastic topper falls off, and she spills the cake all over her undoubtedly expensive designer outfit. Seething with white-hot rage, she locks eyes with me. Karen. You, get me another cake, now. Terribly sorry, ma'am. I've actually got one job, and these carts won't gather themselves. I walked away with a massive smile on my face as her shrieks faded into the distance behind me. Now, I have definitely had my fair share of nasty customer interactions before, but this one, yeah, this one really took the cake.